Originally launched on crowdfunding site Kickstarter on May 12, 2015 and exceeding its $40,000 Canadian target to finish with $225,386 when the campaign ended on June 11, 2015, we have Tokyo Dark. Released on PC on September 7, 2017, with a Mac release in the works at the time of this review, Tokyo Dark is the first game released by indie developer Cherry Mochi. The game was published by Square Enix through its collective program which supports indie developers to raise funds to make new games. For transparency, I was one of the 5,551 people who backed the game, and my name is in the game's credits. The game is a point-and-click adventure with visual novel elements where you play the role of Detective Ayami Ito in search of her partner Detective Kazuki Tanaka, who went missing 5 days earlier. After his phone is suddenly activated, Detective Ito rushes to a back alley in Shinjuku to try and find him. What appears to be a straightforward missing persons case will soon become a deep dark mystery, beginning with a case Detective Ito and her partner were involved in 6 months earlier. As you guide Detective Ito through the game, you'll have to make some decisions on how to act, and their consequences to her and the people around her. So let's solve the first mystery. Is this game any good? Find out in The Good. The strength of a visual novel lies in its visual impact, storytelling, characters and atmosphere, which is something Tokyo Dark executes very well. The game's anime art style blends very well with the setting and breathes life into the characters, which is definitely there when characters are talking to one another, and also shown in cut-ins which play at certain parts of the game for added effect. I found the story to be mysterious and engaging with some mythological elements, and a good mix of light-hearted moments weaved in with the more serious story. The characters that you encounter throughout the game also support this, from a serious kendo instructor to a maid at a cat-girl themed maid cafe, and how Detective Ito interacts with them. The darker atmosphere is present throughout the game, and the feeling lingers on in the back of your mind even during the more positive moments of the game, just to remind you how dangerous and serious your goal is. The game's structure was something else I liked. In order to make your choices in the game more meaningful, the game doesn't feature a manual save system, instead auto-saving after each choice you make. In situations where you have limited time to decide, or a tough choice is presented to you, you're forced to live with the bad decisions you make, or risk starting the game from the very beginning just to spend time getting back to where you were just to make a good decision. Thankfully, the game does feature a New Game Plus feature which sort of introduces a save system. At certain points in the game in New Game Plus, it gives you an option to save the game for you to continue on from, if you ever want to see how a different option or action would have changed things. Having my choices being permanent on my first playthrough with no manual save option available was certainly a change in the way I've played point and clicks and visual novels in the past. Another feature I quite liked was how your decisions affected people and situations in the game, with the game rewarding you for being thorough and penalising you for more unorthodox methods. A good example would be a scene from the start of the game where Detective Ito needs to get into the sewer. She has several ways of approaching this. She could violently threaten one of the bar patrons, she could beg for the information from the hostess at the bar, or if you uncovered a certain piece of information, you can threaten to legally close the bar for operating without an alcohol license. These choices and how you act in the game also ties in with the game's spin system, which is short for the Sanity, Professionalism, Investigation, Neurosis system. Positive growths in the system can come from eating food, asking the right questions, and acting professional in situations you're up against, while negative growths can come from talking to the same person multiple times, to looking at disturbing images or resorting to violence. I felt the system was implemented in the game very well, and it was clear to see that there was a lot of thought and input behind the choices made in the game, seeing as the game has 11 different endings, and that your choices can also ultimately affect the outcome of the people that you meet. But the spin system also has its flaws, and we're going to go look at that and other things I didn't really like in The Bad. The major fault I found with the spin system is the Sanity. I personally found that sanity can be managed very easily in the game, with Detective Ito easily regaining her sanity whenever she eats or takes medicine. I felt this impacted a little on the difficulty of the game and doesn't really emphasise the madness and disturbing parts. Maybe perhaps punishing the players a little more with sanity and neurosis would be a good way to put pressure on overanalyzing a scene. For example, a dead body in a room could constantly affect the sanity and neurosis, forcing the player to analyse the area quickly and balance being thorough with being sane or nervous. Another way this could be implemented was to have you make the choice of going home to take your medicine to maintain your sanity at the cost of learning something crucial to the case, which would have forced players to balance them more accordingly. While your apartment is unavailable to you for a large portion of the game, I found that wasn't a problem at all, as I was able to maintain my sanity by simply eating food at certain places in the game. I found some of the puzzles in the game a little disappointing. One puzzle involved trying to find out who was behind some foul play to another character's cat. The cat's owner tells you that she's been getting 2 boxes of food to feed him, and when you ask the delivery man, he tells you that he only delivers 1 and that sometimes he gets other people in the area to make the deliveries for him. From there, all you need to do is find a person who also eats food from the delivery man's place. With 3 people to choose from, it's not a particularly hard puzzle. Another point in the game has you learn a code to a door, and upon reaching the door you don't even get the chance to input the code. Detective Ito will instead do it for you and you continue on. The closest thing I had to a puzzle in the game was activating lights in the Shinjuku sewers, and even that was straightforward as the lights themselves act as a clue on which order to activate them. Having some more difficult puzzles would have been a nice challenge to the game. That's all I really wanted to cover here in the bad, so now we can move on to the opinion. Tokyo Dark certainly met the expectations I had when I backed it, and throughout the development process I can certainly see parts of the game that have changed, and parts which have been around since the Kickstarter campaign. The psychological aspects of the game was certainly my cup of tea, and the story kept me hooked from start to finish, as well as knowing that each choice I made in the game was permanent, at least on my first playthrough. The spin system was the game's double-edged sword, being an interesting but flawed feature, and the lack of challenging puzzles was a little disappointing, but in the end I really liked how the game turned out. For their first game, Cherrymochi have gotten off to a really good start, and I'm eager to see what else they have planned in the future. If you like detective stories and psychological horror, then I would suggest looking into this game. It's a little shorter at about 4 to 6 hours for a playthrough, but a good game to spend an afternoon on. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Tokyo Dark this cat-shaped bread out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.